Hey, my wonderful friends, and welcome to Morning Coach TV. I am so glad you're with me. We are ready to take on the day here from the studio in South Florida. Excited that you're with me. Yesterday, we had a little bit of a microphone problem at 13 minutes. That will not be the case today. We have it all resolved. We understand what happened, and we appreciate your patience with that. When you do this every single day, a lot of times you don't get to see it until afterwards, and we didn't catch that until post. And, it was a challenge. And like I said, when we do it every day, it's a little bit difficult to go back and edit and spend hours and hours. But it is what it is. We got through it. It's just one of those little blips. If you had a chance, you got to go listen to the audio yesterday instead of watching the video. Or you watched up to the video, and I guess it dropped off right before I did ACIM yesterday. So welcome. But like I said, we got that resolved. We're ready to go. And we're going to have some fun today as we have Ask JB, and I've got some great questions. So we're going to get right into the show. As always, if you have questions for me, just go over to morningcoach.com, put them in the Ask section, and I will get to those as soon as I can. All right, we're going to go in the other system, hit record, and we are off to the races. Good morning! And welcome to Morning Coach. Today, I am so glad you're with us. As you know, my name is JB Glossinger, and this is your personal evolution system, the place to get your day started right. Welcome. And I'm so glad you're with me today. Hey, we're rocking and rolling, having some fun, and we're going to jump right in the show because I have got a lot of content today, a lot of questions. So I want to get to these, rock and roll them, and get them answered. All right, so let's just get right to it. And Cecil sent one over. I love this Sacred Six question. As you know, I wrote the Sacred Six process, and we're going to get a little bit more production heavy here on the show. We're going to start talking a little bit more about getting things working for you, and I'll get into that later this week as we get into the weekend, but I will kind of let you know we're going to be making some changes. But Cecil asked this. He asked, can you please talk more about the Sacred Six, specifically to-dos that come up in daily life that take away from completing my Sacred Six daily tasks? These are things that I cannot outsource and need to be addressed in a short amount of time. If I'm not careful, I can spend the entire day putting out fires. Perhaps there is a better way that I can manage them. I hate to put these into my Sacred Six journal, but that is how I'm actually capturing them. Any suggestions on capturing and managing these types of to-dos would be greatly appreciated. Okay, so Sacred Six, as you know, is about handling the things that are going to take you or get things done or take you to that dream or going to get things done that are going to move you forward. And what Cecil's talking about is like, hey, I got to go pick up milk. Oh my gosh, the insurance came today. I need to send a document of insurance over to my lender, to my bank, little things that pop up all the time. Like for me, I got to run over to the hotel because the shuttle service isn't calling me back. I've called them 4 times. And so now I got to make a trip over to the hotel. So those are things, pick up milk, right? Things that don't really fit into the Sacred Six. So first of all, the Sacred Six, it's important you understand this, that we do it every morning. So it's the first thing we do is to organize and prioritize your day. So you should know what you're going into at the start of the morning. There shouldn't be too many fires. If we're having a lot of fires, then we have some unorganization somewhere. So there's an issue, Cecil, first of all. Because if the Sacred Six is done every morning, we should know going in that I got to pick up milk. I got to, go do something else. And those are missed to-dos, which you put in there, and they're in the miscellaneous areas. So for me, what I would suggest is you get up first thing in the morning and get things done, right? You just start getting the work done right away. And then a lot of little times for those, honeydews, right? So it's like going to maybe at lunch you can go. You've got to figure out a way that you can provide a little bit of time for those areas. What's scary about me is when you say is that the entire day is putting out fires. That's scary for me. That means you're getting thrown a lot of things that you're not ready for during the day, which means in your morning prep, you didn't know these things were going to come at you. And so to me, that means there's some organizational issues at the upper level. Like, I can see 1 or 2 things coming. Like I got to go pick up milk, or, you get something in the mail, or you get an email that comes in that needs to be addressed right away. But really, you should be able to set up 90% of your day in the morning without a lot of other things coming in, and setting that up in the morning there may be 4 or 5 miscellaneous things that you need to do that you will fit into your sacred 6. And in the journal, I put those miscellaneous things underneath my sacred 6. It's like, these are things I need to do. And then there's a couple things exterior to that. So that's a great question. And I'm going to be spending a lot more time on the sacred 6 because I think it's something we need to really get organized. Because to me, there's an upper level issue if we're having fires to be put out. Because really, the idea behind the sacred 6 is to become a lot more proactive instead of reactive, so you don't have those fires to put out. And when they do come in, you can handle them much better because you've got some time in there. You've got some time that you can create a slide where, hey, I'm going to handle this at lunch or I'm going to handle this in the afternoon. You've got to really work on getting that structure in place. So again, I think step 1 is to work on prioritization first thing in the morning and maybe leave some wiggle room in there that this is where we're going to have to get something, some of these honeydews or some of these extracurricular activities done. Okay, so let's talk more about that, Cecil. Love to hear more questions on that. I would like to know more specifically about some of the fires that are going on. I'd like to know more specifically kind of how a day sets up for you and how it works. And I think some case studies would be good here at Morning Coach. Like this is some specific examples of things that are getting in the way. How can I resolve them? Okay, so I would love to hear that from you. All right, if you can go ahead and give me some specifics that are kind of, popping up in some way that we can organize that. But start with the morning, prioritize it, get it organized, keep track of some of these, and let me know of a few of them so that we can kind of structure you and get you more proactive instead of reactive. When we're putting out fires, it means we're reacting. We want to be proactive to our day, and that starts in the morning, okay? And if something comes in during the day, we should have some room to handle it, but we shouldn't have a ton of stuff coming in. If we have a ton of stuff coming in, there's some organizational issues at the upper level, even in the business or in life, that we need to figure out. Okay, cool. That's a great one. Hey, Jacob asked this. How do others describe a human utopia? Wow, that's a big one. If you could skip ahead 100, 200, 300 years or so on in the future, what would you want to see happening in human society on our ways towards utopia? Well, that's a deep question. I love Jacob always has these deep questions. Keep them coming because I love those. And to me, utopia is one day the consciousness of the species elevates where we don't have hunger, disease, or poverty. It's that simple. I mean, we can do that now. I mean, we have enough resources to end hunger. We have the ability as a human species to really figure out disease, if we weren't at war and killing each other. And then obviously poverty is something else that shouldn't exist on this planet. So to me, that is what Morning Coach is driven by, is to get the intellectual consciousness higher to that area. And to me, utopia would be that way. That there wouldn't be any needs for borders. There wouldn't be any need for separation if we were at that higher consciousness level. So it would just be, we would all be working together as a group to significantly move the human species forward. I think that's higher level thought and that's higher level consciousness. Great, Jacob. Awesome question. Keep them coming. Okay, Nico asked, with regards to ACIM, it feels like every lesson is a progression. True. And that makes me feel like if I miss a day, I should go back to it. But then if it's multiple days, then it can become difficult to internalize and practice each lesson. I agree. Any tips on how to catch up if you miss a few days? And also, what about folks just joining Morning Coach and they're finally interested in jumping into ACIM? It could be intimidating to jump into day 36. Should they instead start on day 1, even though they'll be out of sync? Thanks, JB. ACIM is really stretching and illuminating for me. No, and it's a great question. So my thing is, just go with the lesson that we do of the day. Surrender to it. So today's lesson is lesson 39, and I'm going to give it to you. And yes, there is a progression to the course. Most people that I know who have taken the course never get past 60 days. It just is what it is. But I'm trying to help you do that. But, if you're really OCD, you could do 2 lessons a day. I'm okay with that. Maybe go back 1 if you miss a couple. But if you're just starting on Morning Coach today, just start on lesson 39 and just kind of go with the flow with it. And I'm probably going to redo it again next year, and we'll just keep doing it just because it's fun for me. And I do it every year. And there's days I miss, right? Now, it's hard for me to miss because I do this every day. But don't get too caught up in the structure. Just get caught up in the lesson. And I think that will help you. And just take what you can away. If it just blows your mind away one day, just let it go. But yeah, if you want to get really, really structured with it, let's say, hey, I'm just so excited about ACM. What I would suggest is you get your own workbook of students and start at 1 and do our lesson 2. So you'd be doing 2 lessons a day. but you would be sticking up with us, but you would be on your own pathway, if that makes sense. If you're really into this. If not, just hang in there with us. Don't take it too structured, and just stick with the lesson that you get from us that day and keep going. But it is a progression. There is some things there, and there is some reviews and stuff. So when we get to the reviews, we'll go over some of the lessons you've met. By the way, that's a big part of this, is there are reviews, meaning once we get to a certain section, we will review again. So there's multiple reviews set up in the workbook, so you will get caught up at some point. Okay, great. Another great question. Keep them coming. And Virginia asks, hey, I'm interested in your metaphysics PhD and what entailed the study. What study did you cover? How long did it take you to acquire, and what was done? I'm very interested in metaphysics and looking at study options. Metaphysics. Okay, so I went to this really different type of school for that. I did my MBA traditional, did my PhD non-traditional. It took me 3.5 years. It was a lot of book study, a lot of study, and basically I just, it was a typical thing where you studied. It took me, 2 or 3 hours a day, and then at the end you did your dissertation, which was a pretty intense 6 to 8 months of writing that together, primarily all online. There's a couple different ways that you can study metaphysics. If you want to, do your own kind of course work, you can go out there and, kind of get books and read on your own. If you want some structure, there are a few different schools that offer kind of ideas and thoughts in that area. You can do it online, you can do it offline, and you can Google, studying metaphysics and some ideas is the best thing to do for you, and figure out, which pathway would work for you. I personally enjoyed my progression through it, but I am moving away from traditional education. I feel that traditional education is expensive, and it doesn't really lead to where you need to be. I think you can find, I'm more of a now searching person that finds my education from other people. I believe that, as I did my bachelor's, my MBA, my PhD, that it was a good education. I don't want to say anything bad about it. I'll never take away from it, but there are just better sources that are quicker, faster, and inexpensive now, like here, like studying our courses, finding courses online that work a little bit better. If you want just letters behind your name for some reason, again, everything I've ever done, every once in a while I'll put them out there for people that, don't know who I am. But I built my business on me, not on my letters, right? And so again, with a caveat there that in business, there's times when we do use those letters, we put them out there. But if you look at my Sacred Six book, it says J.B. Glossinger, not J.B. Glossinger PhD or any of that stuff. So I personally feel that in today's age, a study of metaphysics is done better hiring a coach and working with that coach to give you direction than going and getting some traditional education. Traditional education is a business. And again, depending if you're going to be a surgeon or you're going to be a something that's hands-on, a nurse, something like that, I think obviously you need the credentialing, a therapist, to be able to do your job. But if you're studying something such as business, metaphysics, spirituality, religion, any of those things, I would stay away from traditional education. There's no reason to do it. It's going to be very expensive, and it's not going to do anything different than finding the right coaches and mentors that can help guide you to that next path. Spending an hour a week with a coach, giving you your assignments, is 100 times better in business and in metaphysics and in spirituality than it is going to a traditional education, sitting in a classroom taking tests. Okay? The only difference would be if you really need that structure, but then it's not going to be applied specific to you, and you're going to be getting generalized knowledge. I believe education is shifting a lot. Again, except for specific things that you're looking to do. Specific things such as, a surgeon, a doctor, those areas where you need the specific certifications, a lawyer, those specific professions, you have to have a specific type of education, right? But if you're studying something like metaphysics, or, take the money, the $50,000 that you would spend or the $40,000 that you would spend on that, hire a coach for a fraction of that, and have them help you in the direction you're going. In business, this is huge. My MBA that I spent $60,000 on, I hate to say this, but it was a waste of time. It really was. And You know, I think back to it, and the reason I did it was because I wanted those letters. I thought it would make a difference. I guess it might have got me one job, but the return on investment has been minimal. What has been where I have gotten my most return is on my studies. As you can see from my library, if you're not watching this on video, you know, it's all about my study and my coaches and the people that have helped me along the way. So I hope that helps you. And if you want to study metaphysics, make sure you find the right coach that can help you. And you can reach out to me, and I can help you determine who you are. But if you're in business, if you're studying something like this and you do not have a coach, that's where you have a big issue, okay? You need to have somebody in your corner that's going to help you along the way. It's changed my life, and it will help you, okay? Great questions again today. If you have any questions for me, just go over to Ask JB, put them in there, and let me know. And again, if you're interested in coaching or working with the new coaching program that I'm putting together for coaches, go ahead and hit me up, info@morningcoach.com or jb@morningcoach.com. That info is going to be coming out this week, maybe later today, actually, too. Okay, so today's lesson, ACIM, just so you have it, is lesson 39. And lesson 39 is, my holiness is my salvation. So today, without conscious selecting, you're going to think about things in your mind, and you're going to say, my unloving thoughts, if you're being negative, okay, or something's not working, my unloving thoughts about blank are keeping me in hell. My holiness is my salvation. That is huge, right? So if you're having a negative thought, negative situation, my unloving thoughts about blank are keeping me in hell. My holiness is my salvation. If guilt is hell, what is the opposite? So there's a couple other things that we talk about in here. Each practice period. So meanwhile, you should feel free to introduce a variety into the exercise periods of whatever appeals to you. Do not, however, change the idea itself for applying it. So my holiness is my salvation from this, whatever it is. So my guilt is hell. What is the opposite? My stress is hell. What is the opposite? My unloving thoughts about blank is this, or keeping me in hell. My holiness is my salvation. So it's this idea of switching the energy is what we're talking about today. Instead of dwelling on something, putting the energy in a different direction and understanding my holiness is my salvation. Okay, so lesson 39, if you get a chance. By the way, if you're struggling with some of this, you can always Google, and you can Google that, and you can Google ACIM Lesson 39, and you can get a lot of the dialogue on it if you want to further research that. All right, so great show today. Thank you so much for the questions. Make sure you put them out there. Cecil, you got some homework. Let me know a couple of the things that are getting your way. Let's get specific to your needs. I think a case study will help others. And let's keep going. Any questions you have, Jacob, thank you. Virginia, thank you. Nico, thank you for the questions. Keep them coming, guys, and I'll keep answering them right here at Morning Coach. So get out there, have a phenomenal day. Let's put some energy out there, right? I love you, and I will be back with more right here tomorrow on MorningCoach.com. All right, guys, my wonderful YouTube family and Facebook family, thanks so much for watching the audio work today. See, I told you, we'll keep rolling it. Any comments and questions, leave them below. And tomorrow, we'll be right back here on Morning Coach to keep you rocking. Thanks so much for being with me. Go have a phenomenal day.